output also, that particular screen, that ReactJS home screen. Because anytime you do any new project, that's how you start with. And it comes with a lot of basic things that we require, like the package JSON, especially the package JSON thing, which is going to be useful for us. We'll wait for a couple of more minutes for Lavanya's work to be completed. If it takes more time, then we'll start the other things while Lavanya still try to do it. In the meantime, Lavanya,
Yeah, sir.
go to File, Open Folder, right? Open the folder of the parent of third. You are opening only the project folders, rather parent of. So desktop. Select the desktop. No, not this one. Desktop itself. Okay, select folder.
Third.
No. Click on that select folder. Only desktop and then select folder. Click on select folder. Right, now open the third, expand third. Right, see, now you are seeing that SRC, all those things are coming up over there.
Yeah, sir.
Right, go to the terminal, new terminal. Okay, go to third. It is always a good idea to create a separate folder so that you will not mix many things together. Now what you are doing is, on the desktop you have several things.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
sir.
you'll find it difficult to know like which is React.js related stuff. Okay, ls or no, don't do any npm. Do an ls, enter. Okay, looks like you have got things ready. Say npm start. This is all fine. Don't worry about these deprecation messages. Allow access. Okay, you may have to repeat the same thing, Lavanya, once again.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but
Okay.
what I suggest is that create a separate folder. You may call it as like workspace, and open that workspace folder within the React within this VS Code, and then create the project.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I'll share the screen.
Okay, sir. I'll stop stream.
Right. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll continue with rest of the class. Where it is. Hari, is my screen visible? Very good. Okay. Now on the browser, we have the React app running anyway. And we have the tutorial page also here. Assume that we forgot that tutorial page. Then what? On this page, you have this link, right? Learn React. If I click there, you don't do anything. If I click there, it comes to this place. And then again, take the tutorial. So you come to the tutorial. Same, basically the same place. We have completed the option 2. We have completed the option 2. Now let us see what is there in this particular project. So 6th is my project. Node modules is the folder where you have all the dependent libraries loaded. You should not do anything in that folder. Package JSON is for declaring the dependencies. Package log JSON, it will actually list out the real dependencies. We may say like I depend on React and React DOM, but React depends on something else. React DOM depends on something else. And they may depend on something else. So that way, you will have a big hierarchy of these dependencies. All of them are listed over here. You should not touch this. That's why it is called as locked file. You should not touch this. If you remove this log JSON, what happens is next time when you say npm start, it again look into the package JSON, try to load the React 18.20, and then identify that React depends on 10 other files, then download all those 10 and look into their package modules and see like what they depend on. So it will have to do it iteratively like this. Recursively, not iteratively. Recursively, it will have to go and get all those details. And whatever details it gets, it writes them into this log file. So next time when you say like you want npm start, all it does is like without doing anything recursively, it will just go and download everything that is listed out in this log.json. So having log.json file will make things little faster. Even if it is not there, it still works, but it will be little slower to get and download all of them. Okay, so now let us see what is there in the public. In public, you have what do you call a HTML file, simple HTML file. And this HTML is having a lot of things. It is having a lot of things along with a body tag. In the body, you have something called div with ID root. I hope this screen is visible, legible also. And in the script tag, you have any script tag here? You are not seeing anything called script. Then how the React script will be added here? Remember, currently we are in the development mode. We are not in the production mode. So things are happening behind the scenes. If it is in the production mode, you will be getting a big script file for our application, which you will have to include on your own. Currently, it is just a sample HTML and sample JS. So most important thing I want you to observe here is like this piece. There is a div element whose ID is root, and it is not having anything within this div. So this HTML is useless HTML essentially. But still it is going to be useful somewhere. We'll see where it is. All other things are basically the image files that we are seeing, right? And some manifest robots and icons and other things. So don't worry about them much. So in the public, we have index.html. That is more important for us. Okay. Then we have the src. Under src, you have again several things, some test files. We'll be looking at most important one of them, that is index.js. Index.js. If you see here, it is importing several ES6 modules. See, it is following ES6 syntax only. It is importing React from React, React DOM from React DOM client, importing some CSS file, importing something called .app, importing something else. Various things are happening. And line 7, we are saying React DOM create root by element root. Observe carefully this piece. What is it saying? Get a thing called root. Constant. This is not let. Constant. This will not be changed after initialized. Document dot get element by ID root. I am sure all of you are aware of this. If you have gone through my pre-reads yesterday, suggested pre-reads, by this time you should know what it means. It's saying in the attached document, there is an element whose ID is root. We have seen it, right? A while ago only we have seen. There is an element by ID root. It's saying fetch that element and create this as the root element. Okay. And then on that root element, render app component. And this is the component, not an element. What is the difference? An element is a HTML element, like paragraph tag, like what we are seeing here. Body is an element, head is an element, div is an element, no script is an element. These are all elements. They are not components. A component consists of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, everything together. HTML elements are just only elements, only HTMLs. How do I say this is not an element, rather a component? Very simple. If the tag contains an uppercase letter as the starting letter, it indicates that it is a component. It's a React component. We are getting this component from some other place. That is what it means. Where it is, you see here, it is saying I am importing this app from some other place called .app only. This is basically here only, app.js. Before we see that app.js, one more thing you observe. Is it a JavaScript code or a HTML code? It looks a little confusing, right? It is having JavaScript code, so it is a JS file. It is also named as JS, but somewhere we are seeing tags again, like in the HTML, right? This is not full JS, this is not full HTML. This is a combination of these two called JSX, JavaScript extension. It's called a JSX file. But initially, the prefix is still going to be just JS only, but it is actually a JSX file. This is a JSX file. What a JSX file contains? It contains JavaScript with embedded HTML. With embedded HTML markup. It's not actually HTML, embedded markup. That markup may be simple HTML code or components code also. So what I want you to understand here is that every React.js application starts like this. Index file will look like this only. More than this maybe, but this is minimum. What is that minimum? You need to first identify which element in your HTML file that you would like to use as the location where you want to embed your component. So this is where you want to put your component, whatever I'm writing dummy code. This is where you want to keep your component. So how do you say that this is where I want to keep my component? You give an ID and get that element by ID and you specify this place. Let me do something interesting. This is the output here running, currently running, right? What I do is, like, instead of saying root, let me say roots and save the file. I saved it. So what it means internally, it is trying to get an element called roots from this HTML file. And in that roots element, it is going to keep this app. But do we have any element by name roots here? No. Then what is the outcome? Nothing. It is an empty HTML file. What is that empty HTML file? This file. This HTML file have nothing. Let me put something interesting otherwise. Let me put a h1 tag saying like my first React app. Let me say like this. You see that? Because it is just HTML only. But at this location, I don't want to write anything on my own. Rather, I want to just put a component. As I mentioned, a React.js application is just a collection of multiple reusable components. So we need to tell the application which component you want to keep in which location. So here, in the HTML, I have an element whose ID is root. If my intention is to say that I want to keep this app component under that particular div, then I need to say root only. Then it will appear. You see, my first React app is there. After that, the next component came and sit. So this entire thing, this animated GIF, this line, this link, this background color, all these things are because of that app component, one single component. The related JS, the related CSS, related HTML is all part of that app component. I just only want to keep this component here. Can I keep this component in more than one place? Or can I keep this component twice? Let's say app and followed by again app. One more time, I'm keeping the app component. You see, app component came twice. It is that simple. It is just only pick and use, drag and drop kind of a thing. Right? You will be typically do editing work like by dragging and dropping in different places and arranging things, right? You do the same thing, but programmatically. If I want to keep app component once again, 3 app components, then 1, 2, 3. It is exactly like what I was saying here. I have a component here. If I like that component in one other place, I can just put it here. If you see this thing, then if you want to make this as really a React component, all you need to do is like in this piece of code, instead of saying app, you would say title component, image component, academics component, experience component, skills component, contact details component, one after other. Then it appears the way. Right? If you say like, no, Krishna, I don't want to have the ID as root, rather I want to call it as like home. Then here also I need to say get that element with the name admin, home, and keep whatever component you'd like to keep. Again, it will be back to square one. I don't want this piece. In fact, you don't want to have anything other than components. You don't want to write your own markup. Rather, you want to make everything as a component only. Remove that. Then you'll have the same thing. But what is there in that app? Let's open that app.js. When we say, in the JS file, when we say include or embed an app under this root element whose name or ID is home. What is this app? App is being imported here. We have already seen how do we import components, or how do we import anything from another file. So it is saying from so and so place, app. So means app.js. Go to app.js. This is where you see. What is this app.js? What this app.js is? It is importing some SVG file and CSS file from a different place, and it is creating a function. Name is app. Function name is app. And what this function is doing, it is returning this markup. It is returning this entire markup. And this app is being exported by default. You know this piece, right? I hope now you're understanding what is React specific thing and why we have spent some time on ECMA. Now, what is it returning? It is returning some markup here. And what is this markup? Any HTML developer can laugh at by looking at this markup, because it is just normal markup only. A div tag with some class name, a header tag with some class name, an image tag with some src, a paragraph tag, an anchor tag, a normal text, and that's it. It is that simple. Let's say I want to create my own component. How do I create? All I need to do is create another file and create such a function. So let me create another file. Let me call it as like trio component. Your component name must start with an uppercase letter, remember. Otherwise, it becomes an element only. Trio.js. And what this trio.js should do, it should return a component. So how does it done? Create a function. Trio, that is your function name. And what this function should do, it should return some markup. What that markup must be, maybe you may say a div tag, which contains trio soft IT solutions. And once it is done, you say export default trio. It is that simple. I'm not using any style sheets, SVG files, nothing. So this is my simplest component called trio. And how do I use this trio component? In the index.js, just like how I am importing app, I say import trio, because that is the name I'm using. From which file? Same similarly named file. Better if you are having the similar names. Otherwise, you'll have to say like where is X, where is in which file we have Y, and nonsense. Create only one component per file and name the file and the component similarly. So now we got trio. Why it is in the dull color? Because I'm not still using it. So instead of using app, let me use trio. And go back to the screen. See, you got trio IT solutions. Got trio IT solutions. Let's say I want to create this one in such a way that I would like to give a text box and a button. If you know HTML, you can simply do that. You may do something like this. Maybe instead of div, let me say I'm going to give you a tip. Let me give div only. What is problem? Let me give a saying like, please enter your name, and then give. How do you give the text box? You will say input of type text, right? Typically, that is how you do it. Type text. And then you want to give a button. Enter. So when this component is embedded in a location of the HTML file, you'll be seeing more or less, please enter your name with an input followed by a button. It is what the trio is. Now I need not to do any more changes, right? Here I have this home, or let me say this is also like trio. If it is trio, then in the index.js also I should get hold of trio as my target element. So trio is here and trio component is here, app is no more. And then how it is appearing? Please enter your name, text box, and enter button. If I click here, nothing happening because currently I haven't added any kind of functionality. No behavior. Only markup is there. Where is the corresponding CSS? I haven't done it yet. Where is the corresponding behavior? I haven't done it yet. My component is just a stale, maybe instead of trio, instead of like this, let me write maybe contact details. H1 trio soft, and then I want to give a HR tag, horizontal liner. Then I'll be saying maybe contact information. Contact at trioid.com. I'm just assuming something. Then if you see here, right, you can write whatever you want to build, you can build over there. But as I mentioned, you will not build the entire page as one single component. You will be creating different varieties of components. Just like I have a trio component, let me say I have a contact component. Let me create one more component. Let me call it as contact.js. And what do I need to do here also? Create a function, name same contact, and what it should do? It should return some markup. What is that markup? A div tag, and you may select contact at trio.com. And in the trio, I don't want to write all these things. I only write, when I say trio component, it will only give the logo and a line. Contact will have this information. And in the index.js, I say trio followed by contact. So where is the contact? I need to import it. So now I have my user interface. There is one error, looks like. What is it saying? Okay, in the contact, I am not exporting it. It is saying like, sorry, I cannot export, I cannot import. So let me say export default contact. Now you see the outcome. You got this first two lines is one component, the other one is another component. That way you will create any number of components of your choice and arrange them. Styling, you'll be doing it with CSS, and behavior anyway, you'll be doing it with the JavaScript. Now, before I close this illustration, let me show you a few things related to the best way to write this code. Currently, you have app.js, that is one component, contact.js, another component, trio.js, another component. Now let me rewrite this trio in a slightly different manner. Instead of writing like this, I'll say const trio equal to like this. What I suggest is follow this syntax. Is it still working or not? Yeah, it is still working. Follow this syntax, because very soon you will be doing everything as an arrow function only. If you are doing it with normal functions, it will bomb. You will run into a lot of issues. Instead of using the traditional functions, always use these kind of arrow functions. So same thing, if I want to do it in the contact place, declare it as a construct. Contact is the function name. What are the parameters? Nothing. So you need to keep the empty brace at least. Perfect. The application is still working. Let me take a pause. Questions, please. Let me go through each one of you, and I encourage you to ask me questions. Where is it? Where is the participants list? Okay. In the list, Ajay comes first. Questions, Ajay? At least you need to say, I have no questions. If it is really so. Ajay, are you there? Maybe you are speaking on mute. No response. Strange. Sai Teja. See, we are losing a lot of time just because people are just there but not responding.
No, sir.
No questions, Sai Teja. Very good. Prasad, Hari Prasad. Right. See, from a module, in a module you can have any number of things. Let's say I can have const pi equal to 3.14 also. If you want to export both of them, then you need to say export this and export this. That is how you do when you want to export multiple things from a single file. If you have only one from a single file, you say export default like this, and where you are importing it, wherever you are importing, you can directly name what you want to import without any ambiguity. Right. When you want to import multiple entities from the same file, you don't use default. And when you're importing also, you cannot do like this. You need to say curly brace, and then one by one, you need to say what is that you want to import. If you say export default, you can just do like this because there is only one thing anyway being imported. So it will be automatically mapped to this name. Okay, very good. Any other questions, Hari? Very good. Now, next one is Akhil. Any questions?
No, sir, no. I'm
No,
good.
very
Yeah.
good. Lavanya?
No, sir.
By any chance you are able to successfully create the project?
I didn't try, sir. I just
You didn't try it after that. Okay, okay. Please try, please try. And we are in the WhatsApp group only, right? If you need any help, maybe you just post a message. Maybe one of you can help Lavanya to get around the problem if she still face.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Try helping each other so that we'll learn and gain more together. Manikanta, questions, please.
No, sir.
Very good. Gunashekar, questions?
No, sir.
And Panindra?
No, sir.
No questions. Ajay, I think he mentioned that he is having some mic related errors, something. Please try to rectify them, otherwise you'll lose. You cannot ask questions easily. And he currently have no questions, that's what he's saying. Very good, very good. Perfect then. So I think we have covered what we wanted to cover for the day. Now we know what we mean by UI components, what is JXS, how it looks like, how do we set up the project. We went through some code, we did some hello world thing, and we ran an application. We built and ran an application as well, which is good. Now let me give you, let me indicate what I want you to do. Actual problem statement I'll be giving in the evening. Till the time I want you to explore on your own whatever you want to explore. Let me indicate what you can do. Things like, maybe let me type in the chat window itself. You can or you may create a React app like what you have done already. Second one is like, let me not write, let me show you something and then you can see. I want to see a simplest possible website. Google, that is the simplest one, right? Okay. See what you see in the Google, there is, maybe you can take this as an image if you do not know the fonts and other things. You just take this as an image, cut and paste somewhere as an image. And there is a text box. Text box need not be with this style and other things. I want you to have a text box. And then there are two buttons, Google search and I am feeling lucky. And then Google offered in different languages they have given. What I want you to do is, I want you to create a React application with various components. Logo as one component. Okay, search bar as one component. Search bar should include this text box and these two buttons, and a banner component like with these things. Let me do it here. Just observe carefully. I want logo component, that is one component, and search component, and maybe hint component. Three components I want you to build. And they should appear like this, one below each other. And logo component, how it should look like? The logo component is the one which will have that word Google. This one will be part of that the first component. Second component should have, right? The second component should have the search bar. And maybe let me expand these things better. That is better. Followed by two buttons. What those buttons? One is, let me see, Google search. This is one button. Give me a second. Where it is? Create it again. Google search as the button, and lucky button is the other one. And these two should appear below this, next to each other. Try to find what is the CSS you need to have to get them next to each other. If you are not able to get it, at least get one below each other. But we want to have both the buttons. That is important. Google search and lucky buttons. That is the second component. This is second component. Third component is that hint component. What is that hint says? Like it is available Google, available in Hindi, blah 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 blah. Okay. These components are just borderless components only. They should not look like different components. It should look something just like this, like this screen. Okay, so I want you to try this out on your own. Create three different components so that when you club all these three components together, like what I have done just now here, right? It should give you a nice look and feel in the lines of whatever Google page we are seeing. If you are able to finish this exercise successfully, then you can actually answer my quiz questions. Otherwise, everything looks Greek and Latin. And you have time till tomorrow 8. Maybe I'll be giving you the questions somewhere towards the evening. And then you try finding answers. Please do not give, it's not an examination, remember. It is basically exercise. If there is a quiz question saying like, what is this XYZ? If you do not know, go and research and find the better answer and then answer. So I want you to give all correct answers by tomorrow 8 a.m. Okay. I hope you have learned something new today and it is useful. Tomorrow we are going to actually get more into the ReactJS components. What is that we are going to do actually tomorrow? We are going to build both stateless as well as stateful components, stateless and stateful components. And after tomorrow, we'll be looking at the Redux and yeah, that's it. Yeah, very good. We are poised to do these things perfectly, no problem. Right, any questions from anyone else? Perfect then. So we are done for the day. Yeah, it looks like someone is saying something. Go ahead, please. Okay, again, I think there is no question, maybe fine then. So we are done for the day. We'll be meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock again. In the meantime, explore more, try to understand what these arrow functions are, what these classes are, what these modules are, what do we mean by this Node.js, what is JXS. Try to learn as much as possible, just like that, and learn more about CSS and basic things that you need to be perfect in, and then attempt this exercise as well as the evening quiz so that we'll be better equipped to understand the class tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you can leave. Hari, you can share the recordings with the participants in the group, in the WhatsApp. Okay. Right then, we are done for the day. Thank you very much. I am leaving.
Bye, sir.